Hey there, Cinemaster fans! Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. The series, Black Summer. The story begins in a city heavily infested with zombies. Anyone who gets into an accident or suffers any injury will turn into a zombie. We see a family leaving their home after being ordered to evacuate. They head to the location where the army is transporting uninfected people to the stadium. The army is inspecting people before letting them board the trucks. Here, the mother, Rose, lets her daughter, Anna, go ahead of them to get on the truck. The soldier inspects Anna and allows her to board the truck. Afterward, he inspects Rose and tells her to get on. But Rose waits for her husband, Patrick. When it's Patrick's turn, the army notices he is scared and struggling to catch his breath. They become suspicious. Patrick explains that they were running, which is why he's out of breath. But the soldier doesn't believe him and punches him in the stomach, discovering he is infected. They refuse to let him board the truck. When Patrick tries to force his way on, the soldier hits him, causing him to fall to the ground. The truck leaves without him, and Rose stays with Patrick. Anna, however, goes with the army on the truck. Meanwhile, helicopters start flying overhead. Rose and Patrick run and hide in a house. Rose tells Patrick they need to find Anna because she's alone. Patrick tells her to go and leave him behind since he's infected. He warns her that if she takes him along, no one will let them in anywhere. But Rose refuses, saying she won't leave him and is sure his injury won't turn him into a zombie. Patrick is convinced by her words, and she goes to fetch water. While Rose is searching, she hears a strange noise. She grabs a wrench and searches the house. She opens a door and finds an old woman who stayed behind in the house. Rose leaves her and goes back to look for Patrick. Suddenly, she finds a large bloodstain on the floor and hears Patrick's voice, now turned into a zombie. Rose quickly locks herself in the bathroom. Patrick goes to the old woman's room and attacks her. Rose escapes the house, running as Patrick chases her. She climbs a high fence and Patrick tries to grab her. Suddenly, a soldier named Spears arrives and shoots Patrick until he's dead. Rose climbs down and asks Spears to help her find her daughter. He agrees. Next, we see a man named Ryan, who is mute. He is walking the streets looking for a place to hide. He sees a girl who had an accident on the street and approaches to help her. But her friend, Kyung, arrives, takes her, and leaves to find a hiding place. They run and enter a house where they find a man torturing a group of people. Frightened, they immediately leave the house. Next, we meet another woman named Barbara. She is driving to the stadium to reunite with her family but gets lost. She stops her car to check a map. A man named Ben approaches her, saying his family is hiding in a house and he needs to get them to the stadium quickly but doesn't have a car. He offers food and fuel in exchange for her help. Barbara refuses, saying she doesn't know him and can't trust him. Ben insists, saying the road is dangerous and she needs help. He offers to take her to the stadium and reunite her with her family. Barbara agrees and lets him drive. When she moves to the passenger seat, Ben gets in and threatens her to get out of the car. Scared, she obeys. A man named William arrives, forces Ben out of the car, and beats him up. Barbara quickly gets into the back seat. At a checkpoint, we see Ryan, Kyung, and Rose with a group of people. They ask the army to open the gate, but the soldier refuses, saying the procedures are over. Kyung sneaks through a small opening, and the people break through the gate. They run, and Kyung gets into Barbara's car, followed by Ryan. Rose and Spears try to get in but fail. Ryan and a man named Lance join Rose and Spears, and they decide to travel together. William, driving the car, tells Kyung and Barbara he won't harm them. Kyung doesn't understand him as she doesn't speak English. Barbara offers William money to take her to the stadium, showing him her gold bracelets. William agrees and asks her to guide him using the map. Barbara, without her glasses, struggles to read it. Kyung takes the map and directs him. They notice a black car following them, and Kyung warns William they're being chased for their fuel. Meanwhile, Rose and Spears see a car with a mother and daughter. Rose wants to help them, but Spears advises against it, saying they need to protect themselves. William takes a wrong turn, entering a zombie-infested street. Zombies throw rocks at the car. William narrowly escapes but damages the car's tire. Kyung gets out to check and finds a small bicycle stuck under the car. As she removes it, a zombie charges at her. She quickly gets back in the car, but the zombie clings to the back. William tries to shake it off, but fails. The zombie suddenly jumps onto the windshield and attacks William. Kyung uses a hammer to hit the zombie, and William speeds up, finally dislodging it. They continue but stop to check the map again, realizing the black car is still following them. William speeds up, taking sharp turns to lose the car. He succeeds and stops to rest. A woman and her husband approach them. They asked William to help them with the car because the zombies were chasing them. But William refused to help and left them behind. Later, Rose asked Spears why he didn't call anyone from his unit, since he was a soldier. Spears replied that his entire military unit had died. At that moment, the same car they saw earlier with a girl and her mother passed by, but the driver was different, and the mother was still there. Rose began to worry about the girl, realizing they had taken her, but she couldn't help her. Meanwhile, William drove a long distance and everything was calm. They were happy and singing until suddenly, the black car started chasing them again. driving recklessly. William got angry and began ramming the black car, not paying attention to the road. Suddenly, William's car crashed into a large truck. Barbara was thrown through the windshield and died, while Kyung and William were injured. However, they managed to escape the car and hide in a roadside diner. One of the people from the black car, named Phil, was also there. Zombies gathered at the diner's door. Back to Rose and Spears, they decided to take shelter in an abandoned school and went up to the second floor, planning to rest there before moving on. Ryan and Lance went to sleep, and Rose told Spears to rest, but he insisted on staying awake to guard the place. She sat beside him and started talking about what had happened to them before her husband Patrick died. Suddenly, they heard a noise. Spears grabbed his weapon and told Rose to wake Ryan and Lance. They began searching the school corridors to find the source of the sound and saw a child standing in the distance. When they approached, the child ran away and disappeared. Spears suggested leaving the place, suspecting it might be a trap, but Ryan was concerned about the child and wanted to look for him. Rose argued that the child was harmless and might die if left alone. Spears, however, was adamant about leaving if they encountered anyone in the building. Rose suggested splitting up and searching the lower floor for the child before leaving. Spears agreed, and Rose went downstairs with Ryan. In the bathrooms, they found corpses, causing Rose to vomit. Suddenly, Ryan disappeared. Rose searched the corridors. Hearing a door open, she moved cautiously but found nothing. Meanwhile, Spears returned to their sleeping area, remembering they had left medical supplies there, but he found nothing and decided to leave quickly. When he reached the door, he found Lance unconscious on the ground. The door suddenly closed behind him. Back to Rose, she heard children laughing and followed the sound to the bathrooms, thinking the child was hiding there. When she opened the door, she found a radio playing the laughter. Frustrated, she left the bathroom but discovered the main door locked. She banged on the door and screamed, but no one heard her. Meanwhile, Ryan ran through the corridors and saw the child. When he approached, a group of armed people appeared, restrained Ryan, and took him to a room where they were torturing another man. At the same time, Spears found the room where Rose was locked and freed her. They walked through the corridors and encountered the armed children. Spears pointed his weapon at them, but the children demanded he hand over his weapon in exchange for Ryan's release. Rose convinced Spears to comply. He gave her the gun, and she negotiated with the children, who agreed to free Ryan. They warned Ryan not to move until they received the weapon. The children handed their gun to the youngest among them, instructing him to shoot Ryan if he moved. As soon as Ryan's hands were untied, he stepped forward, prompting the child to shoot it. The children quickly fled, and Spears and Rose escaped. Ryan turned into a zombie and chased them, attacking Spears. Rose grabbed the gun and shot Ryan, saving Spears. However, Ryan didn't die and kept chasing them until they reached the school door. They struggled to open it but failed. At the last moment, a man named Errol appeared from outside, opened the door, and locked it behind them before Ryan could follow. Meanwhile, Kyung and William left the diner when things seemed calm, but upon seeing zombies, they rushed back inside and locked the door. Lance woke up and searched for Spears but couldn't find him. Hearing noises in the school, Lance ran and climbed to the roof, eventually making his way to the ground. He saw students on the roof who shot and killed the man they had been torturing, throwing his body off the roof. The man turned into a zombie and chased Lance, who ran into a house. The zombie followed him, but Lance escaped through the back door, locking the zombie inside. Lance continued running through the empty streets, searching for help. Finding no one, he climbed into a car and tried to start it, but it didn't work. He got out and saw a dog, calling out to it, but the dog ignored him. Lance kept walking until he reached a supermarket. Inside, he took some food but suddenly heard a zombie. He quickly hid. When the zombie entered, Lance tried to leave but was spotted. The zombie chased him to a truck yard. Lance climbed onto a truck, but the zombie circled it, attempting to climb. After some time, things quieted down. Lance looked for the zombie and found it near the truck. He tried to climb down from the other side, but the zombie saw him and climbed after it. Lance jumped to another truck and then to the ground, running into a garage and locking the door. However, the zombie entered through another opening. Lance tried to hit it with an axe but failed. He escaped through the door, with the zombie close behind. Finally, he entered a library and hid as the zombie followed him. The man was holding his weapon and killed the zombie, but Lance approached him and noticed that the zombie had bitten him. He took a heavy tool and struck the man, killing him because he knew he would turn into a zombie. Here we meet Carmen and Manny, who were hiding in the same restaurant where Kyung and William were hiding. Manny opened the curtain and was talking about it with Carmen. Suddenly, a zombie attacked their window, but William started yelling at Manny, telling him to close the curtain. Manny got angry and began threatening William, but Carmen calmed him down. Then Phil arrived, happy because he found food. He told them that they needed to unite to find a way out. William got angry and blamed him, saying Barbara died because of them. Phil responded that he had nothing to do with what happened. The driver was the one chasing them, and he only joined because of the dangerous road. Phil asked William to talk privately, and William agreed. Phil told him they should lead the group together and that he had connections and important information. He proposed making a plan to escape. William agreed to unite with him. During this time, Carmen asked Kyung why she wasn't allowed on the truck. Kyung replied that she didn't have the required documents, which is why they didn't let her on. Carmen said the same thing happened to them. William then informed them that there were 2 zombies outside, while they were 5 people, so they could devise a plan to kill them. They agreed and decided that Kyung would stay in the restaurant and knock on the window to lure the zombies while the others attacked and killed them. Kyung did as planned, knocking on the window and gathering the zombies near her. William and Phil went out and attacked the zombies, while Carmen and Manny came from the other side to try and kill them. However, they couldn't succeed. Kyung quickly opened the door for them to retreat inside. After the plan failed, Carmen got angry at Phil, accusing him of being too scared to fight and leaving the others to do all the work. Phil insisted he was willing to sacrifice himself for them, but Carmen suggested they go out again and fight because it was their only option. She criticized them for lacking a strategy, but they refused to go out again. Carmen then sarcastically suggested they race outside, and whoever was the slowest would get caught and eaten by the zombies. Phil took Carmen and Manny aside to talk privately. Afterward, Phil told William they had a plan to distract the zombies with food and then escape. William asked what food they would use, and Phil suggested sacrificing Kyung to save themselves. William refused. Phil tried to convince him, promising that if the plan succeeded, he would take William to the army base, where they could get weapons and find his family. William still refused and stood in front of Phil with a sharp tool to protect Kyung. That's when he noticed Phil's injured hand. William told Carmen and Manny that Phil's wound could cause an infection. Phil dismissed it as a minor injury that wouldn't spread. At that moment, he approached Kyung, but Manny struck Phil on the head, knocking him to the ground. They all attacked him and started beating him. At that moment, Rose and Spears arrived at the restaurant where William and the others were hiding. They saw the zombies and hid behind a car. Spears only had 2 bullets in his gun. He approached the zombies from behind, but one of them turned toward him. William threw Phil outside, and the zombies attacked him. Spears managed to kill 1 zombie with his gun, and the remaining zombies gathered around Phil and killed him. The group packed their belongings and left. They reached the army unit and split into 2 groups. Rose and Carmen went with Manny, who took them to the main gate and told the guard he wanted to sell the girls. The guard agreed and opened the gate. He took Rose to a room filled with people, including Lance. Then the guard returned and took Carmen to the commander's room, leaving her at the door. But Carmen didn't enter. Instead, she opened the back door for William and the others to sneak in. They reached the weapons storage, killed the guard, and gathered a large number of weapons. They cut the power to the entire base and fled quickly. Carmen entered a large room filled with people who were drunk and celebrating. When the power went out, she killed one of them, turning him into a zombie, which caused the rest in the room to turn as well. Meanwhile, the guard went to Rose and tried to approach her, but Lance started yelling at it. The guard was about to kill Lance when the power went out. They heard screams, so the guard went to investigate and saw a group of zombies coming toward him. He pulled out his weapon and started shooting at them. Rose took Lance and escaped through another exit. She managed to get outside the base, where Errol closed the door behind her and threw a firebomb to prevent anyone from coming out. At the same time, Spears entered a hallway full of zombies but managed to escape through another door, locking it behind him. Kyung and Manny were in a tunnel trying to leave the base, carrying bags of weapons. Suddenly, gunfire erupted, and Manny was shot and turned into a zombie. He started chasing Kyung, who crawled quickly to an opening. Manny grabbed her leg, but Spears arrived and shot Manny, killing him. Kyung escaped, and they ran into a storage room. Rose and the others followed them. Carmen noticed Manny was missing and realized he had turned into a zombie and was killed. Suddenly, they heard a zombie nearby and hid. A group of zombies entered the area, followed by the army, who killed all the zombies. The army told Spears they would lead them through the warehouses to reach the stadium. They took them to a safe place and told them to rest because the area would be bombed within 24 hours, as it was overrun by zombies with no humans left. Spears volunteered to stay awake and guard the place, but the army insisted they would handle the watch. The soldiers looked at Spears suspiciously because they had previously captured him, but he escaped, killed one of their men, and took his uniform to pose as a soldier. The group went to sleep, but suddenly there were noises outside. Rose woke up and started looking for Spears. She saw a zombie was trapped among the items. She entered a corridor, or saw the army, who had Spears tied up and taken with them. Rosa tried to stop them, but the army told her that they would secure the area first and then return to take her, because this man was dangerous and a criminal. They revealed that his real name wasn't Spears, and he had killed one of their team members named Spears, stealing his clothes and identity. They accused him of committing numerous unimaginable crimes. Spears told her not to believe them, claiming they were lying and that he wasn't a criminal. He said they were after some stolen loot and believed he knew its location, which was why they wanted to take him. He warned that they wouldn't take her to the professor or let her meet her daughter. The army insisted he was lying and that tonight would be the night of his punishment for all the crimes he had committed. They promised to send a team to take her to the professor. Rosa then pulled out a gun and killed the soldiers to save Spears. By morning, they had prepared their weapons and set out. At this point, the dog Lance had seen on the street appeared, with a leash around its waist. It led them down a different path than the one they had planned. Rosa suggested they head to Turkey. They continued their journey and reached a place crowded with people holding weapons to fend off zombies. Suddenly, a zombie attacked a girl, and everyone started shooting at it. Carmen was accidentally injured and turned into a zombie. People began firing wildly, mistakenly killing humans and turning them into zombies. Spears and the others got separated, continuing to fight zombies until the area was bombed. Spears took Kyung and escaped, while Rosa and William stayed behind to fight the zombies together. William was injured in the leg and couldn't walk quickly. At that moment, planes began bombing the entire area. William fell to the ground and gave up, but Rosa came to his aid and took him with her. Meanwhile, Lance was left alone, dropping his weapon as zombies chased after him. Rosa and William eventually reached the location where Spears and Kyung were, but zombies began to swarm. William couldn't walk due to his leg injury. They tried to help him, but he couldn't move. Rosa was forced to shoot him, aiming at his head, before escaping with Spears and Kyung. They locked the main door against the zombies and entered a football stadium. Suddenly, an armed man appeared from the other side of the stadium, pointing his weapon at them. When he realized they were humans, he lowered his weapon. From behind him emerged Rosa's daughter, who ran down the stairs toward her. Rosa was overjoyed to finally reunite with her daughter after such a long and arduous journey. Meanwhile, the army bombed the city, which had become overrun with zombies and devoid of humans. And thus, the series comes to an end. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.